Okay, let's talk to Eric and Podra.
Yo.
Hello. Dude, Podra,
Yo.
you're famous, man.
I know. I'm stoked about this developer or designer, whatever they do at Blizzard, respond to so much feedback.
Whatever they do. Yeah, actually, let me pull that up just so people can see what we're talking about. But yeah, Wowhead. This guy, I mean, if you look at other classes, honestly, Hunters can't complain. They've got someone who cares. They made a bunch of like really good changes. They're not done with a lot of the survival ones they said they wanted to do. And I'm not going to go through and read all these now, but basically any hunter would have noticed over the last few weeks that they, have had a ton of notes about the class and have responded to a bunch of people in the feedback thread. We're going to go over if those changes, like really how it really affects you. We'll probably go through the trees one more time and then give you guys an opportunity now after playing with it. You guys have been able to play Hunter a little bit, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay,
a lot
cool.
of the new things don't work, but that's kind of how it is for every class right now. So.
Yeah, but like at least you have an idea of like, how it would work basically. And then so the other thing is Podra actually was apparently just slamming stuff on the forums. I didn't even see this, but Podra's just out here actually posting on the forums. And they responded to you saying that True Shot was really weak, which, okay, I actually didn't really like his answer. This is the first thing he's ever wrote that I didn't really like. And maybe he just, just assumes you're just like, cooldown bad, and I think cooldown should be good. And like, you just don't get it. But like, his response to you is like, True Shot doesn't need to be the most insane cooldown in the game if your class has like much more damage outside of its cooldowns to make up for that. Obviously, you understand that. But the issue with Hunter at the moment, which we're probably going to get into in a little bit, is not really anything to do with their damage. I actually think Hunters have multiple ways to do damage right now that have been, honestly, the way that they do damage has been fine for years. It's other things, right?
Yeah, I do think it'll lose some of that niche, losing antlers and wild spirits. But yeah, I mean, the True Shot, I don't totally agree with his response, but I think he understands that maybe it doesn't feel great to use. And my bigger problem, and we'll talk about it, is like the talent underneath it just kind of directly goes against what he's talking about it, because it's a talent that reduces the cooldown of True Shot. Well, why do I want to reduce the cooldown of it if it's not a very impactful ability in the
Yeah,
first place?
definitely. Yeah, it's extreme. Yeah, so we'll definitely look at that in the MM trees specifically. But yeah, this I actually did like a really, I wonder if I still have it. I did like a really shitty pain thing where like there actually have been classes in the game that don't even really kind of have cooldowns. Where they've been like BFA Shadow Priest or Havoc Demon Hunter for a long time when meta was kind of weak, and they just kind of just did damage throughout their. I mean, BM Hunter kind of, right? Like BM Hunter is a class that is constantly doing a lot of damage, but it's not. Well, BM Hunter's weird. You're reducing your cooldowns a lot, and your cooldowns do a lot of damage when you're in them compared to when you're out of them. It's just that they're up all the time. That's a much different topic, but yeah, like I would say that most classes that have a cooldown would rather, no matter what, for not to do as much with like the peaks and valleys of someone's total damage over a long period of time. You just definitely don't want it to be like a straight line, because like most of the time that's actually just going to be boring. So you definitely want to have your cooldown matter, especially if you're going to invest talent points into it. All right, so back to here. We haven't talked since this entire thread was made, and they made so many changes. People who are watching this now are probably some of the people who watched it back when we slammed our initial conversation, which I think you guys did really well. You guys are really insightful on the class. So how do you guys think, in general, the changes have been, or how have the changes been to Hunters since we last talked?
So I think, obviously, any feedback is always awesome to see, and the changes they have made are great, but there's like, in my opinion, still more work to be done.
What about you, Podra?
Yeah, I think every change so far has been a hit. They've already acknowledged they're clearly looking into the utility and defensive suggestions that have been made. So I'm not going to harp on them for not, having those ready yet. But I think with the changes they have made in terms of reshuffling some of the talents around within the trees, it's been really good in adding, brand new talents as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so before, when we went through, so one thing to ignore right here is I think in one of the posts, this agility increase node, they were very clear to mention that this is a placeholder, right? Like this is clearly just going to be something else. They just haven't added it yet.
I don't know. I read that a different way, but I have no idea.
Because that's the very first thing I would want to talk about, because obviously a 2% agility node is one of the, it's like the only throughput increase you can get besides these kill shot points here in the first two parts of the tree, and it's locked behind pet's total health, or technically you would probably grab the counter shot, the tar trap, and then after you have enough points anywhere, you would just grab the men pet, and then you would have 2% agility per point, but you have to get improved med pet, which is like a horrific thing to have to go to. There's potentially a placeholder plus agility node where Scare Beast was. That is the thing, and then Scare Beast was made a tangent talent, which again, you could probably argue the positioning of this talent is kind of, because it's a 3-point commitment to get Scare Beast. A lot of other classes don't have to. You will never take improved med pet as a PvE player under any circumstances, right? So this is everything it competes with down here and up here is better. So it is a 3-point commitment for Scare Beast. Still something to think about, but there is potentially a placeholder plus agility node where Scare Beast was. This will be changed if it shows up in your build to something that isn't direct throughput. This is kind of, do you guys like fully understand exactly what that means? This part,
it's weird wording.
Pretty ambiguous.
Yeah, it's pretty ambiguous. It's like, it says like this will be changed away from a placeholder if it shows up in your build to something that isn't, maybe from something that isn't direct throughput is what he means. Or in your alpha build, maybe. So this will be changed if it shows up in the next alpha build to something that isn't direct. Yeah, I'm not, it's kind of weird. Who knows? But hopefully, I think we'll kind of like go through and build a tree again real quick before we get too deep into it, but just to kind of point out how that could be a weird thing to have in the tree, specifically the spot that it's in. So before, it was just like you could take an amalgamation of talents near the top, right? You would grab post haste. Most scenarios you'd grab counter shot. I think for let's just talk about MM for now, because I don't think BM has really changed much, right? Like BM works. It's kind of bugged on the alpha at the moment, I've heard, but it like the trees still kind of make sense, and I don't think a ton of things change, right?
Yeah, they didn't change anything. I think they just acknowledged that the bottom left capstone on that or BM tree is going to be relooked at because it's pretty bad.
Oh, okay, cool. Is that the Alpha Predator or Killer Instinct?
No, on the BM tree.
Oh, the actual Dire Pack, which is great. That was actually one of our main points of feedback in that talk, was how these other two were better and only required 3 points to get them, and this one is worse and requires 6.
Yeah,
which is kind of insane. Potentially 7 if you don't guaranteed take bloodshed. But yeah, so like going through this tree, just grabbing it to go down. A lot of this stuff in the middle, we're not going to spend a ton of time actually talking about this, because like obviously it's just a ton of very specific niche utility that you can grab. We might come back to this later, but for now I'm just going to select some points here to unlock the bottom part of the tree for MM, which I think all we need for this is this. Yeah. Okay, so as an MM hunter, what changed from before? What are you building, and where are you actually going? This looks a bit different.
So I think with the change, even with the ambiguous text, you do get tar trap, improvement pet, and the agility just because it is throughput.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it actually doesn't change, you would take it. And it's actually,
even as a lone wolf hunter, which feels
very
terrible.
easy to take, though. It's very easy to take. But yeah, I mean, I expect them to.
It is easy to take, but aren't you just technically losing potentially a lot of stuff to get it?
You just
from
lose.
No,
wild. That's it.
Yeah, so if you like take off Born to be Wild, take out 3 points in that. You do tar trap, men pet, and then the agi one.
Okay, so you know what? If we do need to talk about this middle of the tree thing, because it is a little ambiguous. Because like just because people in the chat are gonna be like, it's not gonna be there. It's a little confusing. So whether it isn't gonna be there or not, let's at least talk about it. So you just go through the top, grab post haste, grab kill shot damage, counter shot, and then tar trap, and then I think we need 2 more points to move on. And that would probably
MD and trank shot.
MD and trank shot, and then now, so you're saying you go improved mend, the agi bonuses.
Yep.
You would
then you take improved trank shot. You can take binding shot. Then you would take or high explosive trap. And then movement speed and binding shackles, and then you're just going through the rest of the, kind of bottom right here. I think you can take I think you take everything.
So let's talk about what at the top of this tree to grab this this agi node you're actually missing. So 4 total points. So it doesn't look like you're missing any. I mean, it's basically Born to be Wild plus like a singular point up here and something. I
You're
mean,
just
Born to Be Wild
losing-
is definitely like
yeah, you're losing defensive talents that are, I mean, albeit a little bit weak, they are still defensive talents, like the CDR on Exhilaration and then Born to Be Wild. You're losing both of those.
I have a feeling that they're going to that regardless of however that was worded, I think they're going to remove this if not for any other reason that this entire tree makes sense. You're not really talking about any kind of damage anywhere in this tree. It's like kill shot and it's associated with kill shot, but it's the top of the tree. Same thing with kill command. It's a starting point. And then it's just utility, 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 hard line, all damage, right? But then there's just damage in this thing, which makes me think that it's just absolutely a placeholder that they're willing to put somewhere else. So for now, we'll leave it there, but we'll just talk about the bottom of the tree. I imagine they'll change that. If not, other than it just is kind of in the middle of nowhere. And I believe, just to shadow the doubt, this is why we talk about it, but I do believe it will not be there. And that's kind of what he is saying.
I think the only change they made in the bottom of the tree was they added a link for Master Marksman to Explosive Shot. Is that what they did, Eric?
Yep.
Well, they also
And
made
the
it
surface
so,
thing, right?
and they made it so the only way to get Master Marksman is not also through Barrage as well, because that
right,
you used to have to take Barrage to even approach Master Marksman, which is like a totally different line of thinking. So that was a nice little connection they made. So you're definitely going to grab the crit every time, right?
I think as a Marks Hunter, you're probably not going to be playing with a pet in a raid or dungeon ever, so you're still ignoring the left side. So you can take Master Marksman, Death Chakrams, Barrage, Serpent Sting, Explosive Shot, and the talent on the right. And you can take Barrage too. You can take literally everything.
And more. You even have one talent.
You'd actually have...
Is this for
Yeah, you'd
Marksman?
have one talent. Yeah.
You actually have an extra talent because you're on the BM tree. So
Well,
you
no,
auto-get
he
kill
had
command,
to
right?
take Kill Shot, though.
Oh, true. You're right.
So one.
You do have 1 point left over.
One-
Or is it done now?
Oh, it's done when I put it into Barrage. I think it was.
Yeah.
So here's the thing I'm noticing about this, and I don't know how much of the other trees you guys have looked at, but there's definitely a huge difference in what the triple DPS spec class tree looks like versus classes that have multiple roles. I mean, it's like night and day. Like you guys saw when you're talking about the shaman tree, it's like, okay, when I'm done with this shaman tree, I have all of these points that I can put in, like, after you're done with like the baseline of what you need in this Ellie shaman tree, for example, just keep it in the same DPS mindset. Like when you're done, in quotes, done with the tree, you legit have 5 points to go in any direction you want to get something that could be relevant in a different situation. It's like pretty nice. It's like
Shaman
really
tree is so good.
Yeah, the shaman tree is insane. And like it's also probably not an accident that this was a tree that was made later, and a lot of these later classes are actually being made as the second tree made as the dev, and they already made a previous one, so they've already learned those lessons. So I think a lot of the newer trees are going to be like really nice. But I don't know. This is why I don't want to criticize Hunter that much, because I don't know like what Hunter is working with this. Because like if you look at, here's my main criticism. This is Marksman, right? In this current setup, this is barely going to change the entire expansion. There's like basically just a build for you in the class tree, and that's just what you take. And you might, move around Born to Be Wild with like improved Trank Shot and Fogged Crystal or something. Like you might, but I mean those are like very unimpactful choices compared to massive differences that some other classes have. It's not just Shaman. Druid has this as well in a major way. Even Evoker, when you're done with both Devastation and Preservation Evoker's trees, you have like 4 or 5 slots to kind of just pick a bunch of cool stuff. And I understand that not every class has the same amount of stuff, but it is something that is more noticeable in these trees, where not in the spec trees, but in the class trees, it's almost as if you're kind of hard-lined into taking something depending on the spec you're at, and it's never really going to change, and that's kind of lame.
Yeah, that's just a problem with Hunter and having pets, and you have a side of the tree that's fully focused on pets. One spec just does not use pets at all, and there's not maybe they could add an additional 10 points worth of brand new talents here to make it, so there's more options to choose from, and you can kind of tailor your gameplay to what you're doing. But yeah, right now you're right. As a Marks Hunter, this is not going to change at all.
Yeah, and even then too, I think something that now that we've seen more class builds, people were wondering when these class trees first came out as to what are you actually wanting to get out of them? Are you wanting interesting choices? Whatever. I think something that a lot of classes have come back with is, I want my class to basically have everything it had access to before, plus a bunch of cool new shit. And the reason why is because classes are actually getting that. Like classes that have existed before are getting basically every part of their kit they've been having to before, except they're able to talent out of some stuff they're not using for specific stuff and try new combinations and new builds that have not been possible before, bringing back not only everything you have currently, but old abilities that you haven't had for years that are very powerful, and bringing back niches that have never appeared in years, like Ellie Shaman's funnel, for example. So maybe something that is going to be hard for them to go back and fully change this, especially as some of these devs are moving on to work on some other trees, is I really hope they try to capture that with a few of the first ones they released where it doesn't really feel like that. Like Hunter doesn't feel like that, right? You guys have lost a bit of your defensives. You're not really gaining back a ton of old cool abilities or new combinations, right? Is that how you guys feel?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like I think they could just keep this tree the same, but just add 5, 6, 7 new nodes, and then you have to actually make meaningful decisions on what you want for each scenario.
Yeah, also another thing too is that like because Nessingwaries is right here, that does kind of just because you're always taking keen eyesight, right? It's like this just kind of locks you out of all of this stuff, even if a non-lone wolf build could be good. You know, it's just not gonna be there. Yeah. Same thing with like Stampede. We're not going to really talk about survival a lot today because I don't think they've mentioned changes they wanted to make to survival, but I think they just haven't done them yet, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not very fleshed out. Like they didn't. I don't think they changed the 3-point talents at all, and it's still not very clear what your major cooldown does.
Yeah. But that's so their exact feedback to survival, which this is something that not only did I harp on when I was in this call with you all, but like every single other class tree discussion I did, I just constantly brought up how bad the survival tree was. So I felt bad when they posted this because I felt like I was just dunking on it. But yeah, basically just a bunch of the 3-point talents, which you guys see here, are just going to be reduced down to, they had more than any other tree, reduced to 1 as more, or reduced below that. Most classes that have been released, it's very clear the trees that have more options as 1 or 2-point nodes is just objectively better than having 3-point nodes pretty much in general. Like I think 3-point nodes might just be bad, and then especially if they're just mindless damage increases to spells, like that's just completely non-interesting.
Right, that's the big thing they didn't mention is it's if you reduce a 3-point talent that increases the damage of your wildfire bomb, you know, to a 1-point talent, it's still not a fun talent.
Well, I mean, it is cool though, because like imagine if you're still getting that 3-point talent, but it's available as a 1-point talent, and now you can get 2 other things that have also been reduced, and now you're starting to get into that realm of, oh, I have these things I used to have, but also I have this new thing that can kind of help me pop off, or this old thing that they brought back, right? Like I really think I've spent a ton of time looking at these. That is the thing that some classes are able to achieve, and not every class is the same in that way, where some classes are actually the same version that they are now without even the new tier bonuses, and they just have more stuff, and people just want to log on alpha and try it. And hunters kind of just feel like they're hoping to still have everything they have now, and it's like that's just a totally different feeling. But anyways, yeah, so a dependency problem with frenzy strikes, with the talent without wildfire bombs, that was just a placing issue. And then yeah, they said they're going to work on it. They have not implemented any of those in this current build, so they're still working on it. And I don't think any of the other feedback here is like super relevant. Is there anything to talk about with the BM tree at all? Or are you guys kind of still under the impression that the BM tree is pretty solid?
I like it. I have one criticism after playing with it a bit. Beast Cleave, which is right under multi-shot, is a 3-point talent. You know, I think most people in general dislike 3-point talents. I don't have an issue with this being a 3-point talent. What I do have an issue with is that Beast Cleave, we're going back to it only lasting 4 seconds.
Okay.
Meaning that every 2 or 3 globals you have to press multi-shot, and now with the addition of Kill Cleave, you're going to be wanting to press Kill Command a lot more in AoE. So I don't like it. You still gonna have to press multi-shot too much, and it's going to be a problem because you're not going to get as much value out of Kill Cleave. And right now we have a tier or a 4-piece in this current patch increases the duration of Beast Cleave. I was really hoping they could, you know, knock on a second or 2 per point to, you know, extend the duration of Beast Cleave. Because having to press every 2 globals just sucks on AoE.
And they actually have precedent for that too. When a lot of classes have had really good 2 or 4-piece bonuses that have not only been very powerful, but have improved your quality of life by a lot. Those are things that they usually consider adding to these. So I definitely think that's worth pointing out. So just making sure that Beast Cleave, nothing else needs to be like the 3-point talent is kind of its own conversation, which, you know, the Hunter tree just has a bit of that in general, but also just increasing the duration of Beast Cleave. Especially, yeah, you're right, especially because it's changing too. Like currently you're not kill cleaving an AoE on live, right? So like the fact, or beast cleaving, I mean. So like adding extra globals in your AoE window and reducing the thing could feel really bad for cleave.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you know, if
kinda
they
just
just increased it by 1, 2, 3 seconds, you know, for 3 points, that would be significantly better than what they have now.
Just to kind of like add on to that, historically, beast cleave, when you're beast cleaving as a BM hunter, you like kind of just sit on globals, so you have the focus to keep beast cleave up 24/7. But with the addition of kill cleave, you're very incentivized, obviously, to start kill commanding. And with 4-second beast cleave, you just don't have the focus or globals to like do everything you want. It feels not great.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Okay, cool. Other things with the MM tree as well. Is that the actual MM spec tree is what I wanted to spend a good bit of the rest of our time on, because I think there's also a lot of stuff there. Is there anything else with the Beast Mastery tree before moving on?
Nope, I like how BM got a kind of major 2-minute cooldown, while MM's, you know, there's some controversy on how good this 2-minute cooldown is.
Yeah, I see.
I love the new BM ability, and I think it'll be a fun spec to play.
So just
They
making
already
it,
said they're going to rework the bottom left thing, which is great. But my only gripe is Call of the Wild and Bestial Wrath are both on the global, which isn't. It doesn't feel great. Having one of them off the global, I think, would feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's like that evoker ability being on the global.
is this like a BM class tree as well? I just totally made it up. The bottom's the only
yeah.
thing that matters.
Yes.
More or less, assuming that agility thing is not there.
Oh yeah. This is, and you could just deal with that up there. But yeah.
Explosive shot will be good probably. Stampede might be good, but the numbers are still terrible on it. But BM
It's
has
just
a few
like
more
3
choices.
or 4 1-point things that just depend on tuning.
Yeah, I think BM actually has a few more choices because everything on the right side of the, you know, bottom right side of the tree is still viable as BM.
True. Yeah.
You know, the entire third tier of this tree is viable for BM, whereas for Marks, really only half of it is.
Yeah, it seems. Yeah, it
most
seems like
settings.
there's 3 specs for Hunter, and the left side was made for the other 2 specs basically, and the right side was only with MM. So MM is just like, okay, I'm the right side, but the other 2 are actually like, okay, I can kind of play around with what's good here, right? So they have a bit more options in general. I don't know if there's a super big way to stop that because, like I said, you guys, the whole like bottom of your tree being throughput stuff is something that's almost exclusive to triple DPS classes or like double DPS classes. Like even Shaman's a double DPS class, but everything at the bottom is pure utility, right? Druid is a double DPS class. Everything at the bottom is pure utility. But DK is a double DPS class, and everything at the bottom is almost exclusively pure throughput, right? So these are not consistent things going on. Devastation, bottom of the tree, pure utility. Priest, bottom of the tree. Mixture of actually it's pretty much pure throughput in a way. One of them's like kind of PvP based, but yeah. Rogue, bottom of the tree, pure throughput. It's like half and half, right? So definitely different developers, different ideologies, but for Hunter it doesn't feel as interesting as other ones in general. And there's also just kind of less stuff going on too. But you know, some classes just have less stuff than others too. That's life, right? All right, Marksman tree. This has been changed more than anything else. If you want either one of you to kind of take me down a single target tree and talk about the decisions, I know the big one is the fact that bursting shot is still required, and not only that, but to get to Legacy of the Windrunners, right? Which is the old 5-point tree that got turned into 3 talents, but they moved it under bursting shot, so it's pretty much irrelevant, kinda. And it's also, we talked about as well about how bad Deadeye was, the kill shot having 2 charges. So take me down, pure single, and talk about the changes as you go through it.
So, you can go ahead.
No, I was gonna pull up the changes on my other monitor. I forget what they were.
Oh, it's a ton. I mean, they gave rapid fire. They gave rapid fire the focus regen in the actual node, where before it was like two talent actual, not points, but like 2 talent rows down was making rapid fire relevant. They added that in. They moved multi-shot down here, so it wasn't required to get some single target stuff, and it was more focused with actual AoE abilities. So like multi-shot goes right into trick shots, goes right into salvo, and then down into like explosive ricochet and stuff. Like it's clearly on a path that you would be taking if you were having AoE in mind. And then I think top of my head, other changes were
Double tap in the
They
middle.
moved double tap.
Great change.
They removed the quick shot talent, which is awesome.
Mhm.
So yeah, and they added Chimera shot to
Chimera
the
shot.
tree.
they had
So
yeah.
they did a lot of good changes here, and I think, I mean, it's still more work needs to be done. And we've kind of outlined some of that feedback already, and we'll get to it. But you can make some pretty good and different builds based on the content you're doing now, which I think feels good.
Sweet. All right, where are we starting? We got aim shot.
Eric,
Are we
you
doing
go,
single target?
yeah, you go for it. I know my build's gonna be different from
pure
yours.
single, and we'll talk about cleave and AoE afterwards.
So, with the changes, running it down mid, very good. Like, pretty much every choice up until you get to calling the shots near the bottom, and then the capstone, all feel great.
Okay.
One thing about this tree is you take just about everything in the top third.
Oh,
Like,
really?
It's kind of
Pretty much
all
everything
mandatory.
except Chimera shot.
So you take arcane shot focus, you take aim shot, cause your next chimera shots or arcanes to deal extra damage, even though currently it says 0% more, but obviously that's a...
Yeah, that's just part of the baseline, spec now. Like, it literally, like Eric said, everything in the top of the tree you take except for Chimera shot.
All right, where are we going from here? You getting rapid fire?
Yep, take a rapid fire, careful aim, streamline.
Focused aim, Hunter's Knowledge.
Yeah, the aim shot buffing talents are all
Dude,
top here.
wait, hold up.
Oh yeah, no,
Everything's
this is
Hold,
real.
hold up. This is different than every other tree by far. Oh, but I feel like I have to give examples to make this make sense. You guys are spending almost... Are you taking Chimera?
No.
Nah.
Okay, if you were to take Chimera, you would actually be the first class I've ever seen that unlocks the bottom part of their tree without even going into the middle. No other class does that. None. Zero. Like... And that's like kind of a problem because you want the power to kind of fill out near the bottom, so it makes more sense to invest into things. Like if you look at other specs right now, like it's like even Ellie Shaman, right? Like the way Ellie Shaman's a new one, it's like pretty similar to Hunter, right? So like you take going down this road, the way they set it up, it's like you grab this. Let's just say you're single targeting. Actually, you go this way, and then you have to take Earthquake at all, and then it's immediately you're going down, and like. This is an AoE choice potentially, or this is like a fire choice. Clearly, they did it thematically based on the elements, but like this is it would be impossible. You guys have 20 points in the start of your tree, and they have almost only enough. They have 10. They have exactly 10. That is so crazy different. Okay,
There's just too many mandatory talents. Like you need the steady shot focus. You need precise shots. Like I can't even imagine playing the spec without precise shots.
Yeah.
You're always going to buff aim shot damage by 10%, crit chance by 10%.
I think the problem is that there's so much like mandatory or just very good options at the top, and then just the way the tree designed is that the left side is very cleave focused, and the right side, just because where the talents are and what talents they are, just feels dead.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I think the M plus / AoE build looks a lot different than this. But you'll see for the single target build, you really don't. I mean, I don't think you take a single capstone.
Yep.
So like now you would take the
that's
left
bad.
choice node, take surging shots.
okay,
In the middle, you take the very middle talent,
true aim.
and then go double tap, steady focus, lone wolf, lock and load, true shot. And then 1 point underneath lock and load.
Calling the shots.
Or no, sorry.
Oh, no, lock
yeah,
and load. Serpent Stalker's trickery. Only one.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
It's,
I get it.
100% uptime. Yeah.
Yep. And then you have 2 fucking points. And where do these go?
So basically, you have
Probably
nowhere
volley.
to go except either 2 points in calling the shots, which feels terrible, or you can get volley and then 1 point calling the shots. I don't know. The end of the tree feels not great.
Well, you would take the bottom left capstone talent, but that's going to get changed.
On single target?
Oh yeah. So like if you take volley and then put a point in the talent below volley. So and then if you look at the new choice node they added, it's very interesting.
It's so broken.
So yeah, explosive ricochet whenever you you have to ricochet, don't you, Eric? Yeah, never mind.
You have to.
So
trick
this
shot.
is for an AoE build. But yeah, like he said, the single target build just kind of awkward. and you're not using the bottom of this tree at all.
This has to be changed. It's a lot of this stuff, and I think what would help is just a lot of the stuff in the top of the tree being made into 1-point choices, or some of them just being made baseline, right? Like, there's just too much required. The fact that you spend 20 points before you even go into the middle is insane. The idea is that you flesh out the power level on the way down. And like, if you wanted to get this Legacy of the Windrunner single target stuff, just to like pop some points out of here, you'd have to grab Bursting Shot in a relevant point. You would have to grab Kill Shot having 2 charges, as close to as irrelevant as it could be without not actually being irrelevant, before you can consider getting this thing that they added with Windrunner's guidance,
so
right? Like,
what they need to do is either move Bursting Shot to just be like a leaf node somewhere, where it doesn't lead to anything else. I don't have a problem with the utility talent being a prerequisite for a talent below it, but the entire row should be, utility talents then. I think Rogue has something like that, where an entire row in their spec tree is a utility talent.
yes.
And you have to pick at least one of them to go down, but Bursting Shot's the only utility talent in the tree.
Yeah, so we were talking, that's actually Ellie Shaman. So Ellie has like Earth Shock, Earthquake, Fire Elemental, Elemental Fury, which is like basically passive stuff. You're forced to take all of them. You cannot not take any of them. And then the third wave is just all choice nodes, basically 0 throughput. This one's like slightly not 0 throughput, but like they're basically, this is just you have to take it. You cannot not take it. Yeah, that's this is that tree you just linked me has some that needs to be fixed. No,
so
go ahead.
Yeah, you can fix it by moving Bursting Shot to like be a leaf node, child node, or you add a link from Double Tap to Legacy of the Windrunners and remove the Lone Wolf Deadeye link.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, no, you could have you could also do no, I see that. You add a link from Double Tap to Legacy, so it's just a 3-point option straight up, and you could ignore the CC entirely.
Yeah, because like right now they have a link from Bursting Shot to Double Tap, and then right below that they have a link from Deadeye to Lone Wolf. Well, if you remove the link from Deadeye to Lone Wolf, you can still get to Lone Wolf from Bursting Shot for whoever wants to do that. A PvP player maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just add a link from Double Tap to Legacy of the Windrunners, and then your single target build's gonna look a little different probably.
Yeah, so this is again single target. We are going to now add like a few targets of cleave and then move on to AoE after. But just alone, I'm glad we were going to spend the most time looking at Marksman specifically. This is the single weirdest looking tree I've seen of every single class so far. Every single class I've had them make single target AoE, they all kind of make sense. This is so, there's no way it can be correct that you do not pick a capstone.
Yeah, this is purely speculative for now. Like, right, you might just not take volley. You might not take that 1 point under it, and then you could take a point out of one of the aim shot buffing talents, and then you might take calling the shots and unerring.
Okay.
Like that might be viable, but
yeah. But the thing is that capstones,
it's not a good
as a concept, are supposed to be very powerful things that even in some cases you would have to invest in something not as powerful just to get there. And that should be like the core of your thing. That's the whole point of this. And
it just goes back to True Shot not being a powerful ability, and I don't think either capstone or either choice node makes it that much stronger.
Yep.
So all you're doing during True Shot is instead of casting a buffed arcane shot, you're casting more aim shots and more rapid fires, which is a little bit more damage. You're just trading one, ability for another. It's not like any of them do any more damage. But then the talent below True Shot is calling the shots, which requires you to press Arcane Shot or Multi-Shot to reduce the cooldown of True Shot. And even in that blue post, the developer mentioned, yeah, it's okay for you to waste some of your Arcane Shot procs during True Shot. We want you to change the way the gameplay goes. But if you're not casting Arcane Shots during True Shot, you're losing a significant amount of value on the CDR talent calling the shots. It's just this weird anti-synergy that it makes True Shot feel really poor to play, and it's just pretty weak.
Yep. True Shot, since it's been introduced, has been a really bad cooldown, and it's only been lifted up by extremely powerful borrowed power. So, Unerring Visions, which is the capstone, was in BFA, but in BFA it was part of the Azerite armor, and you stacked 2 or 3 of them, so it made it like insanely strong. But And like in Legion, you had, I think, what was it called? I don't remember what it was called, but it gave you like 20 or 30% crit damage during True Shot. And then obviously this expansion, you pair it with Wild Spirits. So anytime Hunter 2-minute has been strong, it's been extremely uplifted by borrowed power. And it just seems like the current version doesn't have that at all.
Yeah, and I think Unerring Vision is probably the choice you would take here, but it kind of doesn't play well with Bullseye because
Yep.
you're already gonna like you already have so much crit from other talents in this tree, especially Bullseye, that I don't see the point of just having even more crit. I would love the crit damage because then that would make True Shot just get even better as you get into Execute.
And better over the course of the expansion too.
Yeah, and one thing to also mention is calling the shots is going to be a bad talent. It was all right in BFA because we used to have an old talent called Master Marksman that made whenever you cast an aim shot, it would make your next arcane shot or multi-shot free. I don't know why they got rid of that because it made the True Shot gameplay feel a lot better because you did not have to waste all of your arcane shot procs. You still wasted some of them, but you were able to cast free arcane shots and get value out of calling the shots while you're in your major cooldown.
Okay.
That coming back would be nice.
Yeah. All right. Now you are not doing single target. This is not Sludge Fist. You are doing a, somewhat frequent 2 to 3 add targets coming in, not mass AoE, but you are 2 target cleaving for at some points and also multi-shotting sometimes when adds come in. What is your build? What do you have to remove?
Yeah, I'd kind of take this like an M plus build. I think Bullseye and the talent above it aren't good in Mythic Plus.
Okay.
They're okay, but you gain so much other stuff that
Yeah, the
it's worth
biggest
dropping.
problem is you have to take Killing Blow to get
Yeah.
Bullseye, which is fine. I mean, Bullseye is an expensive talent to take, but it's a very powerful talent. So now I would just take Volley.
Obviously, multi-shot, trick shots.
Oh yeah, you need multi-shot, trick shots, Volley. I'm not even sure how many points we have left at that point.
Multi-shot, you have 5 points. I took it out of Serpent Stalker's Trickery at the bottom and also Lock and Load. I assume you still need those.
Oh, if this is like an M plus build, you would take 2 points in Salvo, which is to the top left of True Shot. Yeah.
Mhm.
I would personally get rid of Improved Steady Shot.
Yep.
Or sorry, not Steady Shot. The one above True Shot.
Steady Focus?
Yeah, Steady Focus. Yeah. It's great, but it's hard to maintain in Mythic Plus. So then you take everything in bottom left here. And there are some interesting choices.
Okay, so light
depending on the
versus
dungeon
heavy
you're
ammo?
Yeah. Light ammo is probably better in dungeons. It depends on the type of dungeon, though. How dense the pulls you're doing are.
Okay. And then you have, what is this stuff? Explosive Ricochet and
Explosive
Killer Ricochet.
This will get changed. This is broken. I mean, Explosive Ricochet will be the most broken talent in the game by far. I mean, every other global on AoE's trick shots and it ricochets, and if you're hitting 2 targets with an explosive shot every 3 seconds, I mean, it has to have some sort of like ICD on it.
Yeah, okay. But
But
anyways,
I think it's
good
important to
talent.
mention that the other choice on that choice note is pretty. I think I wish they would reconsider this. I think this is terrible.
It sounds good in theory, but it's just not.
It only
great.
has value in Execute, for one. 2, you're not really limited by the number of aim shots and rapid fires you have when you're doing trick shots. Like, locking this behind having to have trick shots up feels really weird. I mean, the Venthyr Legendary, whenever you got a proc from your Flayed Shot and you got the kill shot and that just cleaved around you, like if they could implement that in some way and not tie this to trick shots, it'd be a lot more desirable. Especially because if you want that talent to work and non-execute, you have to take Death Blow, which look where they moved Death Blow. It's to the far right of the tree now. So it's like it synergizes well with that other one, but you can't take both. There's no way.
A problem I also
damn.
have with Death Blow, since it's like a pseudo Flayed Shot, is that Kill Shot just doesn't hit very hard. And Flayed Shot had a baked-in damage amp, and you always played the Conduit, which was another damage amp. So you had 2 separate damage amp sources that made pressing Kill Shot outside of Execute feel great. But if you ever go Death Blow, and in the current situation, I don't see a world where you ever would, Kill Shot just doesn't like hit hard enough to make it feel great.
Yeah, it'd have to be adjusted to have a much higher proc chance. 10% is not good enough. Like Flayed
No.
Shot gave you significantly more killed shots than that.
Okay. This is, and you guys still do have 3 points as well. So are you ever considering taking Chimera?
2 target stack cleave. Is
Yeah,
the only
2
option.
target. That's it.
So just you're doing Lords of Dread. You take Chimera shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
And
like
you-
I would take
and on 3 targets you don't take it.
no.
So it's literally just 2 target and not single target. That's probably too strong of a niche. But I mean, it's not like a super hard investment to go get it, so maybe it's fine that it's there. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine to be there. I'd probably take like Sharpshooter here and then Lock and Load. I mean,
Yeah.
Where the fuck is sharp? Oh, this crit
yeah,
chance?
just 4% crit dam. Or you could take Steady Focus. It doesn't really matter here.
Steady focus in dungeons is not fun.
So what I wish you could do is take 2 points out of Sharpshooter there, Max. Actually, no, take 2 points out of Sharpshooter and take out Lock and Load. I'd probably go to Wailing Arrow if I was doing dungeons.
Oh, really? You'd go Serpent Stalker's Trickery into Wailing Arrow?
Well, I think Wailing Arrow is sick utility, right? If you're doing it for Mythic Plus specifically, right? That'd be really strong. But
Does it do a
taking
lot
2
of damage?
points,
Let's see.
It's okay.
it's good damage, but the 5-second silence is just awesome, and it's not target capped.
That actually is pretty insane. There's like very few things in the game that can actually AoE silence right now, and like one of them's a tank and the other one is a Moonkin, right? So I mean, it's not like it's definitely a strong niche.
It feels bad having to put 2 points in Serpent Stalker's Trickery, and then because you only need 1. But that's, I guess, for multi-target, you're going to be tabbed aim shotting. But whatever.
Make Serpent Stalker's Trickery say aimed shot and multi-shot have a 100% chance to also fire Serpent Sting at all targets. Is that not a thing already? Didn't that happen at some point?
No.
Didn't Hunters at some point when you multi-shot you gave everything Serpent Sting?
There's
It was a
proc
long
for
time ago.
survival.
Yeah, it was first. Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
survival like a long time ago. Yeah, yo, give MM Hunters that. Let's go.
Another problem with Serpent Stalkers, just kind of going back to the class tree, like the base class tree, is that because Marksman is almost certainly locked into taking Serpent Sting, it feels weird to have a Serpent Sting natural button and have Serpent Stalkers.
Oh yeah, you probably wouldn't even take Serpent Stalkers on single target because Serpent Sting is only 10 focus once every
Yeah.
18 seconds. That's
It just
not that
feels
bad.
weird being
Yeah.
locked into basically taking Serpent Sting on the class tree and having Serpent Stalkers in the spec tree.
I can easily say that this is the most problematic spec tree of any class in the game. That I've had conversations about every single one of them. Maybe the only one that is worse is Shadow Priest. And
I
even
think
then,
the
I don't think
cleave
so.
build is like pretty good. Like I don't really have a lot of problems with it, but the single target is very problematic.
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
cleave,
single-
there's
yeah.
still some meaningful choice. I think if they just did something to make True Shot a little better, so that middle, that middle row or middle column is just like if you had a reason to ever take those talents,
Dude,
there'd be so much choice.
I
within this tree.
really think you guys are looking at it the wrong way though. Like you guys are saying like, I wish like this stuff was good enough to take. I think your all's major problem is this is, and I mean, and this is insane that this is the, you guys take 20 points in the first third of your thing. That is why you guys don't have choice down here, is because you have to spend all of it on stuff that should probably be passive or just put into 1 point. It's just that. Like, no, the reason why your tree feels like this is because no other tree at all, or even close to it, they don't even spend more than like 10 points in their top tree sometimes, most of the time. And you guys are spending almost 20. It's that. That's the
Yeah,
only
I mean,
thing.
I'd be more worried about that if the talents at the bottom were objectively better, right? And that should be the case. You would think the talents should get better the further down the tree you go, at least on the spec side.
Yeah.
So right now it doesn't feel bad, but if they did make the talents at the bottom really strong, it would suck.
Yeah. Okay. And then that's all we're going to do on MM. Also, people are mentioning survival. I'm not really talking about how bad or good survival is because they're in the process of basically remaking
They
it.
haven't been changed yet. Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing new to talk about there.
All right, cool. All right, I think we're good. Do you guys have any other last couple takes on the hunter trees currently that we have not really gone over? Other than I'm sure I speak for both of you when you are, regardless of the actual current quality, because these trees are going to get changed a lot over the course of this alpha. If this thread I'm scrolling through right now is not an obvious point to confirm that, but yeah, you guys are happy with the feedback and them responding to it so far.
Yeah, just hope it continues, over the course of the entire alpha/beta. as long as people are providing good feedback, I see no reason for them to discontinue the communication.
Yeah.
Something I think they've even stated themselves is like how they want the trees to be full of choices and like hard decisions. And I guess my problem is with both specs really is that there's just no decisions. Like you just, what type of content am I doing? And then I am picking this challenge tree, and it will never change.
Yep. That is not a problem that all classes have. That like multiple other classes, you just go crazy over how much possible choice there is. Like, dude, I'm not even gonna do a whole thing on it right now, but Resto Shaman has so much choice you wouldn't fucking believe it. Like in non-PvP at least, you get like Gust of Wind. You can go like this like melee. This like you can like do like serious like melee Resto Shaman stuff with like you can get like Stormkeeper. You get everything you've had before plus new utility plus new options. Like you can get Stormkeeper. You get so much cool stuff, and hunters are just out here fighting for their lives, man. And yeah, it's so cool. Feedback is good. Also, super hype.
Surprising they didn't add a lot of, they have that 17-year comment there, and they didn't add a lot of things from the 17-year history of hunters.
Oh wait, where did they say that?
Someone was comparing Evoker to the Hunter tree, and they just said like Hunter has 17 years of, yeah.
Hopefully we'll start to see some of
that.
Well, okay,
so I know what they're saying. Yeah, it does sound bad if you like look at it like that.
Yeah, of course.
I think what they're basically saying is like Evoker class trees like isn't even a class tree in a way, because it's like one and the same with the class in general. You're not looking at it the same way you're looking at basically any other class in the game. So that is true. Like Evoker specifically is like that. It just sounds like a bad cop out to a very problematic tree. So that's why it seems weird, but I mean, this is one of this guy's communicating more than anyone else. That's all you could hope for. So
yeah, his communication with the hunters specifically has been obviously
been
very
awesome.
welcome.
Yeah, hell yeah. All right, thanks for dropping by, guys. That was actually super insightful. You guys are really good at this.
Cheers.
Yeah,
See you guys.
See you guys.